I wonder how many people ever listen to only one channel, like mono, a real mono. You know, I mean, you know what happens when like a stereo channel goes out, you miss something, right? You're lacking information, but
Well, it's off to one side.
yeah.
You usually don't have one speaker.
Well, let's say you're sitting in front of that one speaker, and it's the only one playing, but it's the stereo source, right? So, but mono, I mean, there's people that actually listen to mono recordings. Like the original albums were mono; they weren't stereo.
Yeah.
So that people had one speaker.
It's a strange concept today, but it is a thing that did occur. You look at old cars back in like the 60s and stuff. They oftentimes had one speaker.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess mono kind of was
Middle
a
of the
thing for a
dash.
long span of time, but now we're kind of sort of evolving into a questionable one. There's a lot of surround sound and stuff, multi-channel. And how do you convert that? What's the pros and cons? And I
Yeah,
guess,
it's practically unlimited, right?
right. How many speakers do you need? Where should you put them out? It gets
Well,
complicated.
it's hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, putting speakers
you got
everywhere.
speakers up above for height. And
Yeah.
holy crap, all around the room.
But why do people like mono? What's the advantage? Because we occasionally see people saying mono's the future, mono's the way.
I guess technically when we're talking here, we're mono to you.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
one
our microphones are all summed into equal left-right channels, which is technically mono. Even though you have stereo left-rights they're putting out the same sound.
It's recorded mono.
It's identical left-right channels, but it's recorded as just one
Right.
sound.
We have 3 microphones and they're mixed into a stereo.
Yeah.
But there's no discrepancy left-right channel on my microphone. It should be even.
We could, but
Well, yeah.
Right. It would
No
be
real
artificial.
reason.
yeah, where
Yeah.
music is, of course, is the opposite. It depends on how it's recorded, but most of the
Right.
time when you're watching some live event on YouTube or something, it's usually a stereo event, and you know, I guess it's just the nature of the beast. But back to the topic, though, what is it that people like about mono? Because people actually get like setups to do separate setups just to play mono albums. Actually, vinyl, I should
Right.
say. Albums is a confusing thing nowadays.
Yeah, true.
Vinyl, spinning vinyl, like 78 RPM. Is RPM? So what's it? You know, and
I think there's a bit of bias here, though, because more often than not, the people that talk about running mono and how great it is, what they tend to mean seems to be that if you're playing back something that was recorded mono, that is mono, you need effectively an optimized mono setups for it, which makes sense, of course, logically. If something was recorded mono, you can't magically make it stereo and make it superior. It was intended to be mono, and it's hard to replicate mono with one speaker if you have two, right? Because now you have two effective point sources radiating the sound. You're going to get some room issues associated with that.
I'm pretty sure the people that are playing mono albums are running it on a stereo system,
Yeah.
2 speakers.
Yeah.
But again, the same information is going to both channels, so there's no difference. But you know,
That's not faithful.
no, well, that's true. But I've
That's misleading.
talked to people that have setups like this, and like first of all, you need a separate cartridge for the turntable because it's not
Right.
a stereo recording. You're picking up a mono. There's no left-right information for the stylus to pick up on it. So you have a separate cartridge. Some people even have a separate turntable
Or a second tone arm.
or a second tone arm with the cartridge. Yeah, where they have some of these baller
Yeah.
turntables have 2. Will accept 2, even 3 tone arms.
3, yeah. That's
Each one has a separate cartridge.
gets a little much. But
Yeah. So, and of course, when you get into like the old 78s that were made out of like hardened plastic, Bakelite, I don't know what they were made of. They're brutal on. You don't want to play those on a standard,
Right.
like a high-end stereo
Yeah,
cartridge. It'll
like
chew
the
the.
Victral
Oh,
over
yeah.
there.
Yeah, like that thing uses a needle.
Yeah.
That's what they used to play those records.
Pretty much
with,
a nail.
A steel nail, But those albums aren't really made. You don't want to play those type of albums really on a. At least I'm told on a good cartridge, stereo cartridge. It'll chew up the stylus pretty quickly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so you actually you should have a dedicated cartridge for that. But anyway, the people I talk to, I mean, they're listening to it, and I think you get imaging out of it. Like we've done mono before. There's some systems that let you switch to mono on the preamp.
Yeah. Well, and our local dealer, he's like, "Oh, you got to hear this in mono." We're
Yeah.
like, and so yeah, it's
Yeah, but
it's better than I
how
would
do you
have
get
thought.
imaging out of mono?
Well, you do have a left-right speaker producing the sound, and
So,
so somewhere in
same
between lies the band.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be arbitrary? Wouldn't that be based on your room, your
Well,
environment?
The brain creates the image. So
Yeah, but
technically,
if you have one output, how many speakers What does it matter how many speakers?
I don't
you have?
know. I don't never had mono and surround sound, so I don't know what like if it gets better.
Should make any
Mono
difference.
surround sound? Is that mono
surround.
anymore?
Every speaker around you has the same information.
How can it be faithful reproduction if you have one physical recording track
Yeah.
that's being output over any number of speakers? Doesn't really matter, right? If you have stereo imaging, wouldn't that be
Well,
some sort
I
of
guess
distortion,
technically,
some impact?
if the
from
left
room?
right channels have the exact same information, then vocals would be centered.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how they do it now.
Right.
So it's this. And I think
But
primarily.
is that really imaging if everything's always centered?
Well, not really.
Yeah, not really.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's more of like a depth thing than like
Yeah.
a
There,
sound
there is a
stage.
sound stage there on mono. Yeah.
Seems like it'd be
Unfortunately, we don't have
collapsed.
enough experience
Yeah, not
with
really.
it to really know what all these recordings sound like.
Well,
you know?
I mean, and there's a lot of recordings that are in both. They have a stereo version and a mono version.
Yeah.
And that even carried over to, it doesn't need to be vinyl. They have them digitized too. So
Well, that'd be an easy way to try it. then.
Yeah.
You can even try that with headphones then.
true.
Oh. Can you pull that up on Tidal or something like that?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I didn't even think of trying that. There's something to try.
In particular, though, with headphones, especially in mono, yeah, it would be just like everything's just right in the center of your head.
Yeah.
I've never actually listened to a mono recording on headphones.
Oh,
Gonna have
that's
to try
true.
that.
Yeah, we got to try that. Something to try.
Yeah.
In fact, everyone try it. Give us a comment. Let us know how mono sounds on your headphones. You know, I think it's kind of cool because you certainly will have a center.
Oh yeah.
You should have a center vocal image.
Everything
for
should
sure.
be laser centered.
Dead
Yeah,
center.
right.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of your head.
Yeah, but the question is, will your brain start to recreate an image with headphones on a mono recording? I don't know. Too bad we'll have to try to find an example of
Yeah.
this and link it in the in description underneath our video here.
'Cause-
We'll find an example on Tidal or something of a
With
mono
with
recording.
headphones, it would you wouldn't have any room problems or anything, so it would be as laser focused as it can be. Right?
Yeah,
You would imagine.
yeah,
Gonna have to try it.
yes, we'll try it.
And try
We're
it.
all going to try it,
Sure.
Well, and
and we'll let everyone know next video
then ideally
what we find.
pick an album that also has a stereo version and then compare it and see if you prefer one to the other. Maybe you prefer the mono. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that could just be a recording too.
Could be. Yeah.
could be. Yeah, I could see it with vocals. I think that's what a lot of people like the mono recordings because it's, I guess you could say, purest to vocals. There's nothing mucking up the vocal. It's got to be dead center, right?
Well,
Right.
You don't
you
have-
have one mouth, so it sort of makes sense in that aspect, I suppose, right?
Yeah, and usually one microphone's picking it up.
Well, how would you mic it with two or three? It's kind
Yeah.
of
well, you could, but
where do you go, right?
Yeah. Well, you'd be picking up the room, the reflections with
Right.
other
The
mics,
environment,
which
yeah.
is like these mics. They're not that sensitive, so they don't pick up a lot of stuff in the
Right.
room. But if we had uber, typical dynamic microphones.
oh, everybody's running like binaural heads, talking into binaural heads.
Yeah,
three
right.
of them.
Yeah, and the head's
That
picking
would
up
be
everything
weird,
going
huh?
on in the room.
Well, that would kind of give you a little indication what's going on if you move your head around.
Yeah.
Because here, into one microphone, it doesn't really matter that much when you move your head. You can't really hear it directly. Maybe you'll hear some attenuation or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, you
I
won't
don't
get
know.
the
In
placement.
Mono, you might in mono. I know in stereo you can tell if someone's. I mean, it's hard to say because you weren't there when it was recorded. But a stereo recording, you could tell if somebody was turning or facing the mic or not. You can
Yeah.
usually tell. I'm pretty sure, But I
Well,
don't
only
know about
because you
mono.
have that reference of when they are facing, you're going to get some different characteristics and different level and things like that. You're going to get slightly different sound, but it's not because you have a shift in timing or levels from one channel to another.
I guess there would have to be other microphones around to pick up the ambient information.
A lot of times you do have that, though.
Yeah.
Which helps. But yeah.
I'm particularly with old recordings. It probably literally was just one mic, right,
Yeah,
and like a few people around
those big old
it. Yeah.
metal cast aluminum. What do they make them out of? From the 50s, like
Yeah, probably aluminum, I would imagine, but they're 300 pounds.
yeah, break the floor.
So
when they
nobody
tip
uses
over.
just one speaker? Because I've seen that at trade shows.
I mean,
I never, like,
I don't
looked
know.
into it.
I'm sure there are people who have mono setups with.
You got to
single
think there's
speakers.
crazy enough people who do that.
Well, the typical thing would probably be, if I picture it right, would be
That's
like
mono.
they call it a Lowther style speaker. It's like
Yeah.
a paper cone with a whizzer,
Mm-hmm.
and they're usually big and usually a big cabinet, horn loaded, to try to get some bottom end out of this thing. So usually it's some big cabinet with a huge open port in the front, so that this speaker this size can actually produce bottom end and not sound
Yeah,
like a
it's cheaper.
yeah.
One
it can
channel
be.
amplification.
Yeah.
Well,
it
actually,
can be.
Speaker.
there is a modern equivalent though, like Bluetooth speakers, like most of them, like a HomePod. That's like one channel, right? It's trying to recreate make it sound bigger than it is, but he has just like 1 point.
Yeah,
thing.
those things sound poor, actually. When you
Well, it
think about
depends on the room.
Bluetooth
and-
speaker just sitting in a room.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the original HomePod that's now discontinued is actually pretty good, considering they're trying to make a stereo or, in some occasions, surround sound out of one point source. That's pretty small.
Well, those things
physically.
technically they got multiple speakers.
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
But
made
it's still
to-
one spot,
Yeah,
one
right.
whole speaker system.
you don't have the physical separation from channel to channel that you would.
Yeah, they're kind of somehow managing to fake that
Yeah.
A lot of DSP.
DSP.
DSP. What a buzzword.
Mm.
Well, anyway, that's about all we know about mono.
Yeah, I guess
limited.
more research is required.
Yeah, I think most people probably, like you said, we've probably never heard mono. It just doesn't. Even if you did, you probably would say, "Oh, this is flat sounding" or something.
It's always mixed to stereo usually, or
Yeah.
you're playing back at stereo, so it's
Yeah.
pros and cons, I guess. But it's
Well-
hard to say if you actually call that mono.
Is that kind of like black and white? Like the Wizard of Oz was
Oh.
originally black and white. And what was the color called?
Technicolor.
They added color.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Faking a stereo image is pretty easy. But
Right. Yeah. Making color is.
making color out of a black and white movie.
Yeah.
Well, they
Some
didn't
speculation.
fake that. That was real.
Oh, was it?
Technicolor was the process.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
They filmed it.
It's like
Yeah.
Oh,
filters or something like
No,
that. It's the
yeah,
whole
that
thing,
you run
right?
3 separate
Yeah.
cameras and they have color filters over
It
them.
makes sense.
oh. But the original was black and white because no one had a color or anything.
Well, yeah. At the time, you saw it in black and white on your TV.
yeah. How'd they do that? Sum the 3 colors together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you get color information then. You record each channel with a little filter or something like that. Now you have intensity information for the different colors.
Because I say back then they didn't have like
It's
digital.
effectively
No.
recording color,
This is off a film. you
Right.
know, so,
right?
It's expensive.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they colorize black and white stuff too. That's like literally you record it only in black and white. That's the information you have, and you're speculating on
Yeah.
what color was that.
Well, you're just guessing.
I think it was
I
great.
just remembered some of the original Beatles albums were in mono.
Yep.
Come to think of it, I think I have one or two. I gotta play one of those.
There you go.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know if they're really mono. They're probably a stereo record
Oh, I don't
recording.
know.
I don't know either.
Might
All
depend on-
mono is mono.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
I'll
know.
have to check.
Because there's a
that
lot
out.
of Beatles mono stuff.
Yeah.
That seems to be the one that people were into quite a while ago. You heard a lot of people talking about when there was the remasters coming out. Heard a lot about the Beatles mono albums.
Yeah, because they have digital mono versions of the Beatles albums too.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, I wonder if that record was recorded with left-right track information, groove.
yeah, I don't know.
Actually, because it plays on a stereo, But that's not like a 78 where it's made
Right.
out of, hard plastic.
Shellac, whatever it was.
Yeah, bad news for your turntable. Well, anyway, enough blabbering on about mono. Again, make sure you subscribe to our channel because we've got more good stuff coming, and then you'll know when it's coming. And if we have shorts or whatever we put up, you'll hear that too. Thumbs us up if you like this video. Take care, everyone. Thank you.